Keitarou Gentouga, a college boy who's all about tutoring and living the good life. Well, should say, that's what he had wished for at least. One day, he found himself in a sticky situation with a demon-like spirit that decided to spice up his boring days with a curse, dragging his poor friend along for the ride. But hey, Keitarou's not one to dwell on the past. He's got a future to tutor. Keitarou Gentouga steps into the spotlight to extend a warm welcome to the incoming students. He finds himself reflecting on the curious nature of his past and the enigmatic pull he holds for spirits, an allure that sets him apart in a way that eludes the rest of us. Transported back to his middle school days, Keitarou recalls a pivotal chapter where he found himself entangled with a demon spirit, unwittingly drawing a close friend into the complexities of his existence. This period of self-imposed isolation served as a testament to his deep-seated concern for the well-being of those around him. Ever since then, Keitarou has been attempting to lead a normal life with his longtime friend Aiko. Even a guy with ghost problems still manages to pull more people than you, that's just sad. At the front entrance of the school, Aiko runs into Keitarou, where he informs her that he has recently got a job as a tutor. Aiko is overjoyed that Keitarou is resuming his normal life and that the two of them will once again attend the same school. The accident that occurred in his life hit his social skills and employment opportunities similar to ourselves in 2020. Unfortunately, Keitarou received a request to provide private lessons to a girl by the name of Yayoi Heizuki, which we're gonna call Yayoi from now on, who, according to the instructor, is the student who possesses the most potential and is a genuine prodigy. When Keitarou arrives at the house, he is shocked when he finds out Yayoi is actually Aiko's younger relative. However, upon meeting this little girl, Keitarou could feel chills over his entire body, as if his last moments were flashing before his eyes. Feeling like he is in surroundings of an ominous presence, with two pupils in each eyeball and a strange stuffed rabbit with a terrible aura around her. However, Keitarou covers his shivering and anxiety and decides to act normal and introduce himself as her new tutor. Yayoi figures right away that Keitarou can not only sense spirits, but they are naturally drawn to him. So, Yayoi decides to say the most normal thing to her tutor on her first day: they should visit a haunted place.
Hell no!
Keitarou panics at the audacity of the child and tells her they should study. Yayoi is unfazed as she makes a call at the tutoring center, casually accusing Keitarou of talking inappropriately to his student. Talk about the perfect emotional blackmail. Yayoi's plan is well received by Aiko, who is unbothered by her crazy cousin and just wants to go on an adventure. Keitarou seems to be stuck amongst two crazy girls who are excited to visit a ghost due to the tiny blackmailer he has gotten himself into. Poor girls don't know the ghost they are excited to see will be excited for the one who is least interested about going, which is our cowardly friend Keitarou. They have at last arrived at the H-City phone booth that is rumored to be haunted, and it has not disappointed them. The story that Aiko tells Keitarou about the phone booth that is rumored to be haunted by the ghost of a woman. Aiko tells them that the ghost is the spirit of a notorious hostess who used to exploit men and rob them through luxuries, but was chased to this booth and killed by some men she used. Who would have guessed that evil spirits were so much similar to my ex? She says that this was the location where the RP and murder took place. Ever since that time, her specter has been observed moving about in this area on multiple occasions. The situation turns utterly chaotic as Aiko is an excited normie who cannot even see any spirits, and this little girl seems to want to hug ghosts, as if meeting old friends. Yayoi enters the phone booth and makes an effort to place a call, but Keitarou rushes to stop her before she can complete it. Aiko's dumbass thinks that the story must be made up because of the fact that it is overly complicated and difficult to figure out. After that, Yayoi tries to use her cell phone to make a call to the haunted public telephone, but Keitarou stops her from doing so once again. Keitarou asks Aiko if she is aware that Yayoi's idea could potentially be dangerous because he sees how excited she is about it. Since Aiko is not capable of perceiving anything paranormal, she is not afraid at all. An exhausted Keitarou comes to the conclusion that he should make the call to the phone booth on his own, and just as he does so, the phone is answered, and the sound of someone pleading for help can be heard. At the same time, bloody handprints start to appear everywhere on the inside and outside of the phone booth. As soon as Yayoi opened the door of the phone booth and placed her stuffed rabbit inside, the toy was destroyed in a matter of seconds, and everyone immediately ran back in the car and rushed home. Keitarou seems to be the only one freaking out. Talk about being manly. Keitarou is upset with Yayoi and tells her to start studying. Aiko asks Keitarou if they can talk after they have finished studying, and he assures her that they will be able to converse once they have completed their studies. She is put to a complex test by Keitarou. However, she is able to give correct responses to every single one of the questions. When he asks her if she can see spirits, she responds by saying that she can catch them in 4K. She questions Keitarou about the frequency with which he attracted spirits, as well as whether or not he did so on purpose. He tells her that if the place is said to be haunted, there is a 100% 100% chance that he will attract the spirits. Trust me, we can see all 4 of Yayoi's pupils shining at this beautiful piece of information. After the completion of her tutoring session, Keitarou is taken aback when Aiko informs him about the problems surrounding the death of Yayoi's parents. Before either of her parents passed away, her mother took her to the doctor to have her double pupils checked out. The medical professional stated that they were unable to identify any underlying cause for it, and he also stated that having 2 pupils is perfectly normal as long as they do not interfere with her ability to see. Although, Yayoi had mentioned that she could see normal people as well as some blurred shadows, but it seems like this doesn't count as a problem in sight for Mr. Doctor. On the walk back, Yayoi's mother decided to lift her mood by taking her to an amusement park. After the accident, she wakes up in the hospital. She can distinctly see the shadowy shadows that were previously blurred and understands that she has sight for the spirit world. Right before the accident, Yayoi sensed a menacing presence sitting next to the driver of the truck that was coming up behind the Heizuki family as they drove home from the amusement park. The truck was heading in their direction. In just a moment, the truck collided with their car. The first thing she saw when she opened her eyes during the accident was a spirit carrying off her mother's spirit and disappearing into the distance. She was able to see the spirit of her father at the funeral, but she was unable to see the spirit of her mother. As a result, she made the decision to bring her mother's spirit back with her. Keitarou has compassion for her and wonders if there is any way that he can help her out of her predicament. The following morning, Yayoi is delighted while Keitarou seems to be questioning his compassionate decision. Yayoi gives him a Jizo statue that is supposed to protect him from evil spirits by wrapping in Aiko's clothes. The statue is intended to serve as a talisman against the presence of negative energies. The team goes back to the previous location, which they now refer to as the haunted phone booth. Keitarou inquires as to the reason why they came back to this location, and Yayoi responds by stating that it was so that they could speak with the spirit. Yayoi tells them at the site that she was blocked by the ghost after spamming her with calls from her phone. Now you must be wondering how the spirit of a telephone booth can block her. To simply put, her cell phone is currently bleeding in a plastic bag. Rip poor phone. Yayoi goes to Keitarou for help because she has the impression that the spirit is drawn to him. She is right as the spirit drags Keitarou into the phone booth and locking the door behind them right away. The ghost starts to strangle Keitarou with the phone cord while continuously calling for help. This continues while the ghost is holding Keitarou captive inside the phone booth. Keitarou panics and assumes that the talisman is useless, but Yayoi can sense the spirit is slowly breaking. Yayoi then rushes forward and amazingly rescues Keitarou by breaking through the door and cutting the cord. She then reassures Keitarou that he will be fine and doesn't have to worry. Talk about a cute little knight in shining armor for Keitarou. Aiko seems to be the most reckless as she is completely unaware of how grave and dangerous the situation was for Keitarou, who is currently whining about not being fine and almost getting killed. Suddenly in the car, Keitarou gets a chill down his spine as if the spirit is still in their presence. Poor guy is unaware that the harmless looking kid in the backseat has captured the phone booth spirit in one of her dolls. Aiko treats everyone with a strawberry cream cake when they finally arrive at their destination, and she expresses her gratitude to Keitarou for all of his efforts. Keitarou remarked that everything served as a reminder of how much he despises being forced to interact with supernatural beings and how much he despises having to deal with them. Aiko, on the other hand, points out that Keitarou is just fooling everyone. She saw him grinning creepily after he volunteered to call the ghost the previous day. She claims that he loves to feel fear while Keitarou denies it. Yayoi tells Keitarou that there is nothing left there anymore and that even if he goes there, he won't find anything there. In response to his question about whether or not she wants to go back there again, Keitarou ponders why, if she is so sensitive to spirits, she is unable to locate them despite her sensitivity, which is despite the fact that she is very sensitive to spirits. He is of the opinion that it is not completely out of the question that the spirits themselves are making moves to avoid coming into contact with her. In her bedroom, the plushie that she used to trap Omiki's spirits is lying on the bed, and suddenly the shadow's hands begin ripping Omiki's body apart. This is taking place in the room in which she had stored the stuffed animal previously. Keitarou is questioned by Yayoi about whether or not he is familiar with the name Kojuko. Keitarou asks like the word lonely. Yayoi explains that Kojuko is a method in which several poisonous insects of varying sizes are placed in a jar with one another and allowed to fight against one another. The victorious insect is then bred in order to extract a poisonous substance from it. Keitarou becomes anxious as he takes in all of this information. He attempts to change the subject by assuring her that she can approach him at any time for any homework if she ever needs it. Keitarou walks towards Aiko's house thinking about how his pursuit of stepping towards a normal life got him messed with a crazy little girl who likes exactly what he hates. Keitarou walks into her house and teaches Yayoi, which seems like just a formality since she is smart enough to study fast And well, a normal tutor would be delighted that he has spare time due to being an exceptional student. But this is haunting for Keitarou. Haunting because Yayoi plans to take him to a new haunted place after every study session. Her determination is so strong that she even went through a book regarding the most haunted places in Japan. Keitarou spits his tea out in surprise. Well, we all, including Yayoi, know well it was more than being scared than surprised that made him react like this. Lucky for Keitarou, he has to visit his grandmother to get exorcised. But already at this point, I think we can agree having this little girl latched onto you is even more dangerous than having a spirit latched onto you. From a distance, it will look cute to see Yayoi hanging onto Keitarou, cutely begging him to take her with him. But looking up closely, she is slowly strangling him as if threatening him to dare say no. Keitarou turns to his best friend for help, but Aiko doesn't bat an eye to his plea and invites herself as well along with Yayoi. So now, the three sit in the car and travel towards his grandma's house while Keitarou thinks about what mess he has gotten involved in and about how Aiko always supports Yayoi, and thinks he likes to get into danger. The two of them ignore the fact that they are on a journey to get their poor friend exorcised because of a past accident, and focus on exploring the pretty sights, having good food, and vibing to the journey. Don't worry, Keitarou, you are loved by them, just a little less than their love for adventures. The three of them reach his grandmother's house and get a rather cold welcome. Cold because they get water thrown on themselves. And of course, the other two would dodge, leaving Keitarou for the entire impact. As Keitarou breathes heavily, no one cares about it, and his grandma screams at him for bringing an abhorrent monster along. You must be bewildered, but don't worry, she is just talking about this cute girl. Grandma screams at her, sensing that Yayoi currently has a couple of demon spirits haunting her, saying she had to destroy at least 5 Jizo statues. However, Yayoi denies the accusation, claiming there are actually 7 statues she destroyed. Well, gotta love her being honest at least. Her perfect balance of being a kid and a weird human can be seen as she mentions something so wild, casually followed by sticking her tongue out at an old lady. Grandma is about to throw hands to get Yayoi to leave, but Keitarou holds her from beating up a little girl. Miss Flappy Grandma questions why he is protecting Yayoi, to which Keitarou tells her that being his student, Yayoi is his responsibility. Aiko, just being there for the plot, stands still and quiet. She could be more static than those Jizo statues that Yayoi destroyed, since they were protecting an even more dangerous spirit. Keitarou is about to pry upon her actions but goes silent upon hearing she thought that the spirit could be the one that abducted her mother. Keitarou prepares for his exorcism while updating his grandma about his healthy lifestyle, and mentally showing gratitude as she helps him cope with his trauma and step back into life. Being bored, Yayoi decides to go watch the exorcism, but Aiko stops her at the expense of showing what Keitarou hides in his glove. Kishiro's hand has hair-like nerves covering it that grow and get painful, which is why he gets exorcismed, to get his hand numbed and those nerves cut. However, Yayoi can sense something concerning in it. Later, Yayoi shows little care for both Keitarou and Grandma as she sees them both weak with the efforts of the day. Keitarou leaves for the bathroom when Yayoi and Aiko peek into the tray of nerves that were cut from Keitarou's hand. Being humans, all of us like to collect meaningless stuff and hoard it, so Yayoi is not very different either, except none of us wanted some cursed nerves to collect. Grandma decides to scare Yayoi by telling her how this shrine holds memorials for dolls where the dangerous ones get locked in the basement of the shrine sanctuary. Meanwhile, Keitarou picks a doll from the ground thinking it got dropped on the way to the sanctuary. Suddenly, his voice and eyes go hollow and blonde as he tells himself he will go put it in the basement. Grandma completes her story by mentioning the basement dolls being desperate to possess someone and adds some special effects by screaming into Yayoi's face to be careful. Grandma must have overestimated her story, since Yayoi looks with the same expressions and genuinely expresses a liking for the fun story. Grandma stands blankly at the girl, calling it fun. Don't worry, Grandma, we've been having the same expression as well. Yayoi notices a lifeless Keitarou walking from afar holding a Japanese doll with long hair and a red flower kimono. Exactly the description of the most dangerous doll. Being smart, she concludes the spirit took advantage of the weakened state of Keitarou and picks a sword up to get him back. The situation may be grave, but Yayoi holding a sword higher than her height put her off a little, not gonna lie. Keitarou's subconscious wakes up half as he finds himself in the forbidden basement. The doll's hair enters his mouth and starts choking him. But Yayoi walks in on time and cuts the hair, followed by brutally beheading the doll. Grandma cannot believe this, while Keitarou finds a new feeling of respect and liking for Yayoi since she helped him even though she wasn't the purpose he got into trouble. The next day, everyone tells them they will visit again, but poor Yayoi gets a rejection in return. Keitarou finally expresses in front of Grandma that Yayoi is a nice kid and he'd like to get to know her at her level. The actual little kid in Yayoi can be seen in her innocent reaction in response to Keitarou's words. On the way back, she decides to show Keitarou her room. Keitarou is unaware that this cute gesture of opening up to him is something that will have his heart shrink. The moment her room door opens, his body freezes up, feeling the dark air in her room. Multiple dolls sitting, surrounding the room with dark negative energy. Keitarou falls and crawls backward in fear while Yayoi console him that the dolls won't harm him, as affirms that she will protect him. Keitarou attempts to tell Aiko that they need to get away from this room. However, she replies that she just has a hobby for collecting plushies. He wraps his head around that Aiko can't sense how dangerous this room is and wonders if he made a mistake in deciding to get to know her better. But before he can even complete his thoughts, Yayoi stands in his face asking for his fingernails as if it is the most normal thing to want. The next day, Keitarou once again walks to Aiko's house, but this time he feels guilty since last night he left the house without a single word after seeing Yayoi's room. He rings the bell only to receive a warm welcome from Aiko. This surprises him, but Aiko tells him they have been safe with all that stuff for more than a year, so he will be too. Keitarou barely sighs and relaxes a bit, but his breath or sigh isn't even complete before this little girl comes with her unresponsive request from last night. She asks for Keitarou's fingernails, freaking the poor boy out yet again. Even Aiko's face turns weird knowing her consoling Keitarou has gone down the drain. But his relaxation can go down the drain even if someone says boo from behind him. His tutoring session turns dreadful as Yayoi keeps being cute while begging for his fingernails. Her persistence slowly starts turning even more threatening and disturbing that the silent Aiko has no option but to intervene. Aiko picks a magazine and exclaims they should go see a tourist spot she discovered recently. She doesn't fool anyone by covering up the haunted spot that her tongue accidentally slips out. Aiko and Yayoi murmur in each other's ears in front of Keitarou while devising a plan to do something that is going to be creepy. The two of them sit in the car and are about to complete their exclamation of "Let's go Ost" when they notice Keitarou not present in the backseat. It is commendable that these delusional freaks noticed his absence before reaching the destination. Keitarou is walking outside and lashes out at the two when asked why he isn't accompanying them. He tells them he doesn't like getting involved with spirits, which Yayoi wasn't aware of. Yayoi gets serious and asks Aiko to leave without him since she wasn't previously aware he doesn't like ghost hunting like her. Keitarou feels troubled that the two left, but his rage makes him ignore it. Yayoi is surprised to know that Keitarou isn't keeping the curse on his hand because he wants good fortune, but because Aiko and Keitarou are unaware that a curse can be lifted. Why is no one questioning that this girl thinks keeping a curse as good luck willingly could be a thing? Yayoi tells Aiko she knows a place where she can go to help get his curse lifted since Keitarou is not just a tutor to her anymore. Yayoi takes Aiko to the H-City's abandoned temple where the goddess Kishimogen resides, who protects the spirits of young lads who died unborn. Even during the ride, she can sense spirits lurking around. Outside the temple, she tells Aiko to stay in the car and call for help if she doesn't get back by an hour. Standing in front of the temple, she can sense a lot of spirits, and knowing she can only see a third of them shows how many more must be present there. Entering the temple, she sees Kishimogen, the goddess who used to eat young lads until her own was killed, making her empathetic and protective of children. The ghosts of unborn children accumulating around her messed up with her goodwill, making her lose her rational senses. This is why Yayoi currently gets her leg trapped by an umbilical cord. A statue appears behind her and starts falling on her while she is on the ground trapped. Aiko decides to do what she was told and rushes to get help after waiting for more than an hour. Yayoi barely dodged the statue and got herself into hiding. She made a paper doll with her hair tied onto each to protect her and make it act as a proxy of hers. Just then, a baby spirit comes up to her and gets trapped by her, which she uses to escape momentarily from Kishimogen. Aiko reaches Keitarou in a store where he is currently buying a scented pen for Yayoi. Good relationship between cold and caring at the same time. She tells Keitarou why Yayoi went there, making him rush to help her. She then uses the paper dolls as a decoy while hiding behind a huge statue. A good amount of baby spirits crawl towards that statue but suddenly stop, turn, and walk. Did Yayoi get rejected as spirit food? Yes. Did she get rejected for Keitarou? Damn yes. Keitarou's call for Yayoi makes her realize why she got spared. Keitarou rushes with an army of baby ghosts following him. We've all seen Courage the Cowardly Dog, or even Scooby-Doo. This isn't anything different either. The way Keitarou is running wouldn't help you figure out whether it's running for his life or rescuing Yayoi. In the meantime, Yayoi breaks a finger from the statue. Aiko has the car prepared so the moment the two jump in the car, she rushes it out. Even after leaving, Keitarou looks scared and traumatized. No, not because of previous events, but at the sight of the bills of the reparation of a dent on Aiko's car and treatment of Yayoi's sprain, which was probably still cheaper than a small bandage at the hospital in the US. Could a sight be any more scary in this economy? While Yayoi is enjoying the ride on Keitarou's back, she tells him he is her friend and she'd do anything for her friends as if it's family. Keitarou smiles at the loving person inside Yayoi. At home, she takes Keitarou to her room once again to reveal why she wants his fingernail. Inside the room, some plushies are destroyed. Yayoi tells him these plushies have a part of her, like blood, hair, or nails, to have the spirits inside tied to her and have them serve her. So, every time something tries to inflict damage upon her, these spirits take the damage. She has gotten the Hazuki family protected the same way and wants to keep him safe as well. She then throws the finger from the statue in the middle of the room to calm the anger of the spirits that took the damage in the temple incident. Keitarou could feel the horrible screams of revenge these plushies felt. Yayoi then asks the fingernail to serve her if it wants to be protected from other spirits. She even makes the fingernail tell her please, beg her, and clean her floor before giving it her fingernail. Keitarou cannot believe this little girl just made a spirit beg for their life and fears he will inflict damage on others as well as he did to his other friend, which is revealed to be Aiko, but Yayoi consoles him that she will protect him and requests that they hunt ghosts to make an army of spirits to back them and defeat the goddess that cursed them both and the spirit that took Yayoi's mother. Yayoi tells Keitarou that Aiko told him about his curse and showed her the hand. But Yayoi points out that Keitarou's left hand has been cursed but the picture is of a right hand. This reveals to Yayoi that Aiko is the friend who got cursed alongside Keitarou. Currently, Keitarou is least interested in getting involved in supernatural stuff for himself, but the possibility of Aiko getting cured of the curse makes him ask her to give him some time to think. The intense aura is broken when she responds that Keitarou shouldn't worry about looking like a creep, hanging around a little girl as she will tell everyone he is her tutor. The way for Yayoi to give the poor vulnerable guy another reason to feel anxious. The next day, Aiko is excited about her orientation day and cannot choose what to wear. Keitarou tells her they are late, but Aiko's rebellious nature makes them commute in a car, which is not allowed for students. To top it off, Yayoi jumps up in the backseat, ready to explore what a college looks like. During the demo day, Keitarou and Yayoi are surprised to see how famous and exceptional Aiko is as a student as all the people surround her. The confusion is fair for Yayoi, but what stone was Keitarou living under to not have noticed the excellence in his best friend? Meanwhile, Keitarou is getting weird stares because of the way he is holding Yayoi. Yayoi may be able to protect him from ghosts, but saving him from the judgment of people. Impossible. Keitarou is dragged away by Aiko, who responds well to everyone but doesn't leave her best friend. She shows interest in the course about spooky hidden stories but knows well that Keitarou might have had a stroke in there. The next moment, you'd think Keitarou has rejected her proposal or something because tears well up in her eyes and Aiko starts shaking with tears while trying to tell him it is fine. Feeling bad and panicked, Keitarou agrees to take the demo class. Emotional blackmail at its finest. As the class begins, it could be assumed that the teacher is role-playing as a ghost for one of his stories with the way he has dark clothes, rough bears, and tired black eyes. With a theatrically tone, he prepares to show the students a clip of an artist burning himself after psychosis, and it's rumored that whoever watches this video gets possessed into doing the same thing. As the clip starts, the guy can be seen surrounding himself in fuel with some shadows surrounding him. Suddenly, a glitch occurs, and the guy smiles the creepiest way possible before turning into Keitarou. At first, it looks like only Keitarou is getting those visuals. But as the scene continues, everyone can see it, and as the guy burns himself, a creepy smile pointing at Keitarou can be seen. The teacher rushes out in panic to see what this is all about. However, she already knows there is a spirit inside that tape that has locked its target on Keitarou. She easily captures it in a doll after she can see the plushie protecting the 3 get its arm burnt. She then decides to full box it and floppers it, making it watch the video itself to get driven to self-destruction. However, soon his sleeve catches on fire. Yayoi concludes that the spirit is powerful enough to try and inflict damage upon Keitarou's surroundings. Yayoi knows she can control the spirit if they get it to her room, but Keitarou is resistant to sitting in a moving vehicle with it and putting them in danger. The situation may be intense, but for Yayoi, I think she's enjoying this a little too much. His panic is relieved when Aiko sits beside him telling him that he has always been helpful to her by protecting her through his unique sighting, and the curse accident was something in which he saved her and got himself cursed or she wouldn't even have been alive. This lifts his mood, and he agrees to take her help. About time they get a reminder that they always have a third wheel now. Yayoi interrupts to get on board with the plan. The plan was to put Keitarou naked in the backseat of the car with a cloth on his arm so that it catches on fire when the spirit attacks her rather than the car. Well, that's a lifetime embarrassment for a cowardly, anxious introvert to be put into a car naked with the fear of getting burned alive while they are fast and furious towards home. The drive starts and the video plays. The spirit shakes and burns the cloth, but the speed of the car helps distinguish the flames when he puts his arm out the window. They aim to get the video completed, which finally occurs, succeeding in getting Keitarou safe once again. Later, Yayoi teaches the spirit a lesson while Aiko gets Keitarou's burnt hand treated in the hospital. Aiko gets back home and opens her study cell only for it to be heavily surrounded by pictures of Keitarou. Love or obsession? That's our new question. She looks like a freak as she smiles thinking about how her love for horror stories and Keitarou is currently getting fulfilled together, as Keitarou's involvement in the spiritual world is making him care for her more and giving her experience of the supernatural world. At this point, I'm starting to think the spirits may not be that bad after all, but of course, I unfortunately know some of my down bad viewers would love to have a person like this. Now today, he's on an intense mission. Nope, he isn't out fighting some ghosts or getting rid of his curse. He is currently at his welcome party alone, ready to socialize and make some friends without depending upon Aiko. Well, couldn't say so since his clothes and glasses have been styled by Aiko to make him look approachable. He wants to see how a normal social life is before he can decide and share his plan with Yayoi. With the most determined face possible, Keitarou stands in between a bunch of people ready to socialize. Skills so perfect that the poor man isn't even getting a passerby to talk and still stands aside while almost everyone has someone to speak to. He hears the invitation to society and goes for it to use it as a means of public relations. The president of the Shore Society, Nagayama, greets him. Keitarou is dumb enough to exclaim he is here to make more friends. Aiko sits in her room with tears in her eyes as she hears Keitarou mentioning the thing to Nagayama. Before we can question how she hears it, Yayoi helps us. She comes into the room and inquires about what Aiko hid so suddenly and why is she crying. Aiko feels full of happiness as she tells Yayoi about how Keitarou told her he would like to interact with people without Aiko being the middleman. The story is indeed emotional, but the interest is heavier towards the screen of her laptop for Yayoi. She can see Aiko programmed an entire interface to keep a check on Keitarou. Not only did the glasses have a camera and mic, but she also had his heart rate and respiration rate displayed. Seems like Aiko is so caring that she even keeps a check on his health. Not creepy at all. Yayoi asks if Aiko likes Keitarou and starts bullying her by saying yikes after every 2 sentences. Well, considering she can check his heart rate without him knowing, I can't blame Yayoi. Yayoi suddenly hears a spirit chanting "die" to Keitarou, and Aiko mentions she always been hearing these interferences, and calmly brush aside that it's completely normal since it's Keitarou. And they say men are stalkers. The two start a podcast as if a live telecast of what Keitarou is doing and what his situation is going to be, as if he isn't a real person, but a prototype. They send out to the world to review. Keitarou tries to talk to the people who join Shore Society but doesn't know any good icebreakers. Nagayama visits and invites him to a party with everyone, to which Keitarou agrees. During the car ride, Keitarou accepts water from the president. Seems like his parents never told him to not accept anything from strangers and get into their van. Keitarou suddenly feels lightheaded while Nagayama tells him the spooky story about a suicide group that targets a few students towards suicide at the welcome party every year. No one has yet caught the leader because he always dies in the mass suicide and then returns with a new name. He then tells the name of the leader, Nagayama. This is spookier than expected for Keitarou, but the poor guy is too dizzy to shout and scream like his usual little girl self. Yayoi figures that Nagayama isn't lying and Keitarou is in danger. The two of them get in the car while figuring out where Keitarou could have been taken. In a shady building, Keitarou wakes up to find himself tied to the ceiling through his neck and standing on a chair. The ones beside him have already jumped off the stairs. Keitarou resists while Nagayama forces him to himself. The two girls appear there on time. Nagayama tries to bully Yayoi and mock her for being a kid who got lost on her way. He shuts up when that harmless kid forces him to chug the gold flake sake. The spirit leaves the body at that, but the guy keeps acting the same way. This results in a fully grown man getting knocked out by a middle school girl. And that is why, folks, you don't underestimate people for their sizes. The man had been arrested for violence, but when he got out of jail, people thought of him poorly, resulting in an anger for humanity which he ignored. The three of them rescue other people, call the police, and then rush out so fast as if they were the ones committing the crime. Keitarou suddenly feels a weird spiritual energy that disappears right away. It turns out that the spirit possessed the guy's body again and hung it. Yayoi tells him that spirits lose their energy and pass on over time, but the ones who don't want that consume other spirits to do so. Nagayama hung the people at the perfect height to devour their guts and did that for the guy he possessed too. On the ride back, Yayoi tells Keitarou he needs to know how to handle the supernatural energy he draws towards himself to live a normal life and offers to help him learn so. Keitarou then asks the much needed question about how they knew he needed help. Aiko gets nervous while Yayoi randomly calls it a woman's intuition. Good for them, Keitarou is dumb enough to believe them. The trio goes on a camping trip to freshen up while Keitarou recovers from the suicide incident. Aiko tells Keitarou that this trip is partially for Yayoi to have her have some fun while a strong guy like Keitarou is there to protect them. Good flirting, Ms. Aiko. Yayoi once again interrupts randomly and asks if it is safe for them to spend the night with a guy. Aiko confidently responds that a virgin like Keitarou won't ever do anything to them. Yayoi is easily convinced as the two walk off, leaving the poor guy embarrassed and flustered. Yayoi and Keitarou sit down to catch some fish and impress Aiko. During the time they are doing so, while not catching anything, they talk about Keitarou's decision. He fears he will put Yayoi in danger too. Yayoi makes a bet that if she catches more fish than him, she gets to decide to play with her life the way she wants. The bet is made as if the two are the most talented fishermen ever. In reality, they catch anything and everything other than fish. Walking back, their dejection turns to excitement as Aiko manages to cook some food for everyone. At night, Aiko and Keitarou take a walk where the talk about getting rid of curses makes Aiko tell him she'd like to discover the supernatural stuff linked to their curse with Keitarou, and that she'd like to discover Keitarou. So if he decides to go out in the supernatural to fight the curse, he has to promise to do it with Aiko. The sweet moment makes him promise so. Before going back, Aiko finds a shadow jumping off the bridge again and again. Keitarou cannot see anything, so she assumes it was a mistake. A spirit walks out of the water at night and stands beside Aiko. Keitarou suddenly wakes up feeling the spirit and finds Aiko walking out mindlessly and saying she needs to get to the bridge. Keitarou calls out to Yayoi. Yayoi figures that the spirit is controlling her and not possessing her, which means they cannot simply transfer it to a doll unless she gets to the place where the spirit resides. Yayoi hides on the bridge as Aiko walks with Keitarou. Keitarou guides Yayoi to the spot where he feels a weak presence. Yayoi slams her doll at the spot, weakening the spirit, and just like her judgment that a weak spirit would draw itself towards Keitarou, the spirit moves to Keitarou. Keitarou slams an empty doll on the ground, capturing the spirit and throwing it in a salt bag. But neither the doll shakes nor is the controlled Aiko phased, who walks to the edge of the bridge. Keitarou rushes towards Aiko and holds her while multiple spirits are currently attacking the doll Yayoi used to weaken the spirit. Yayoi also figures that Aiko is bait as the spirits push Keitarou down the bridge. Luckily, the smartness of Yayoi is not beatable by every other spirit. She had tied them to a rope to rescue them in case they were pushed down the bridge, and had also figured there were about 10 spirits with the help of Keitarou. She saves her doll spirit by throwing salt at the attackers and manages to capture one while Keitarou and Aiko get down and walk out of the water. Keitarou suddenly feels 5 of the spirits standing behind them. He tries to rush, but Aiko is holding him. The creepy face of Aiko calling this place safer makes Keitarou falter and fall back, which is the perfect position for the spirits to tie him and push him inside the water. Only his mouth is out to breathe, which unfortunately is used by Aiko to throw a spirit inside his mouth. Well, the spirits might be able to have power over them, but their schemes just cannot outsmart Master Ghostbuster. She gave Keitarou gold flakes' sake, telling him to drink it if a spirit got inside his mouth and spit out the spirit inside a doll. Yayoi captures 2 more spirits from behind, resulting in a 5-on-5 competition. Eventually, all spirits are captured in dolls and tied down while Yayoi questions who is controlling Aiko. The boss spirit tries to get out of it but is betrayed by others. Yayoi then destroys the spirit, saving Aiko. Later, Aiko is shocked to know everything and is put to sleep by Keitarou. In the earliest phase of the morning, Keitarou finds Aiko outside, where she tells him that all she remembers from the night is his warmth, proving he protected her well. The chaotic night results in the two finally confessing their feelings. Back at home, Keitarou finally says yes to Yayoi. Aiko stands outside the room eavesdropping with the weirdest smile as she recalls all her efforts. Stalkers and overpossessive freaks should take notes from Aiko, who recommended the tutoring job to Keitarou, manipulated the higher people to get him to tutor Yayoi, and synced everything to get Keitarou involved in the supernatural world. All this so the two of them can once again dive into the world of spirits hand in hand like they used to do back before the curse. The way Aiko says she has got him now would give you more chills than all the supernatural stuff seen up until now. Aiko and Keitarou stand in a misty twilight, holding hands with each other when Aiko says that she must have caused him trouble. However, Keitarou admits he was scared, but he made a promise to protect her. When the rays of the rising sun strike beautifully, Aiko, with a smile and a blush on her face, confesses that she is in love with him. Keitarou affirms his feelings as well and swears that no matter what happens, he will definitely save her. Aiko acknowledges him with a happy face and they both tighten the grip of their hands. Keitarou proclaims to Yayoi that he will help her gather ghosts. Until now, he stayed away from others so that he would not be dragged into this stuff, but now there is something he wants to protect more. He says so while remembering Aiko. Yayoi stares at him and welcomes him to the other side. On his way out, Keitarou asks if the groups of spirits like the ones in the camping ground gather often, because if they are going to see them often, he needs to prepare himself. Yayoi easily figures out that he is already scared. However, she tells him that it was a rare case. Normally, spirits consume other spirits to maintain in this realm, so if they are in groups, they consume each other or take the other's prey. Nonetheless, exceptions also occur for those who do not know that they are dead, those who are bound to a place, or the appearance of a threat that would eat them if they do not form a group. Keitarou shivers, realizing that there is something that dangerous out there, but Yayoi consoles him that she did not sense anything like that. However, she knows of a wandering one that fits the bill, the one who took her mother away. Based on its powers and looks, the very last one in the night parade of 100 demons, the sun that burns away all yokai, she named it Kubo, meaning dead sky. Yayoi is busy making something with a button and a thread while Keitarou contemplates the things that have happened until now. Yayoi breaks his train of thought when she extends her hand with the button on. He picks it up by the thread and she tells him that they will use his spiritual attractiveness as a medium to pray to the higher being to guide them. After his lessons with Yayoi, they find Aiko inside the car, all ready to go. Keitarou was actually against Aiko joining them in the haunted places, but he promised her to always help each other, and more importantly, if he puts Aiko in a bad mood, he will definitely die. He clearly remembers the time when he went to her house after the camping incident, and she forced him to say that they are dating by playing the recording of his confession. He is so embarrassed by this incident and must never make her an enemy. Aiko knows about the place they are heading towards because it is a famous haunted place. It was completed about 50 years ago and yet is still featured in magazines and shows as the scariest place, called S Tunnel. There have been many sightings reported in this tunnel and Aiko diligently revises each rumor, making him sweat and shiver. He is worried about something showing up, but Aiko and Yayoi actually wish for it to happen. They walk inside the tunnel and Keitarou feels someone holding his hand. Thinking that Aiko is scared and acting cute, he looks back, only to find that Aiko is standing far from him. He can still feel the grip of the hand and panics while Yayoi tries to catch the spirit, but it vanishes. Keitarou tells her that he can still feel the presence, so Yayoi decides to come in the car this time, spilling water on his hope of going back home. They sit in the car and stop it in the middle of the tunnel. Keitarou looks in the mirror that someone got run over, but there is no one there when he looks back. He tells his company about the occurrence, so they decide to go back and check, but miss their chance when a horrified spirit covered in blood appears on the bonnet of the car. Yayoi simply hits the figure because she wants to see how it will respond, because there are many possibilities when a vehicle runs over a ghost. One is that it passes through, the other is that it ends up inside the vehicle, and the third is to be hit by the vehicle. Since the car in their case hit the ghost, it means that it cannot come inside the car. So what does this little girl do, you may ask? Well, she casually opens the door so the spirit can get in. She gives her doll to Keitarou to hit the ghost with it, making the situation chaotic. Keitarou gets hold of the spirit in the doll with a rope around its neck. He feels the presence near him but does not find anything when he looks around. However, through the front mirror, a spirit can be seen sitting beside him. Keitarou comes home and the spirit can also be seen following him through different mirrors in the house, but he remains unaware. As he lies down to sleep, the spirit attacks him while Yayoi realizes that they have been tricked because the one in the doll is a wandering unrelated spirit. They head to Kitarou's house and fabricate an excuse to meet Keitarou. Yayoi enters the room and only finds the spirit standing there that soon attacks her as well. She handles the spirit smoothly, asks it to let Keitarou go while strangling its neck, and captures it after the deed is done. The next morning, Keitarou thinks that it was all a dream, but Aiko tells him it was real, causing him a great distress to not being able to help, but Yayoi tells him that after meeting him, the number of spirits she has caught has increased and each of them have a role in this team. That being said, she tells him that he is a great bait to use, making Keitarou distressed for a different reason now. On his way back, Yayoi checks his backpack and finds the spirit residing there. She takes it out, but Keitarou has mixed feelings about these events. He gets a call telling him that there will be a new student for him. The next day, Keitarou waits outside for the new student. A flashy girl arrives and waves at him but falls on her face shortly after. Keitarou asks if she is okay, but she cries because she has a gum stuck on her head. They go to a cafe and the girl fusses about how cute she looks, but Keitarou notices her elaborative contact lenses and is worried about handling her because he is not good with the hyperactive type of girls. Both of them introduce themselves. The girl is Ai Cameo, a first-year high school student, and Keitarou would be her private tutor. Ai insists on a first-name basis and aims for his dessert when she notices them. Taking advantage of the moment, Keitarou tells her that she will get one donut for each right answer, and he will pay for the order if she gets more right answers than the wrong ones. But the strategy does not work because she doesn't even get a single question right and Keitarou has to eat everything. She rants about it and calls for the waitress to order something again. The waitress drops a glass of water on her, making Ai remove her makeup from her face. Keitarou notices the purple color around her eyes and asks if she is experiencing sleep paralysis because he can feel a presence on her. However, it was not evil, so he decided to not say anything sooner. Ai affirms and asks him to help her. She has always felt those things around her and she attracts misfortune due to this reason. Her older brother also was caught in her misfortune, making him part from this world while saving her. She believes that the one staying with her is her older brother. He is protecting her from other ghosts even now. She hired a tutor so that she can get good grades and show him that she is doing fine. Keitarou decides to introduce her to Yayoi. Yayoi scrabbles in her notebook about the situation and Ai finally gets reassured that Yayoi can help her. Yayoi sees that there are two ghosts following her, one is her brother and the other is a white girl. Yayoi catches one of the spirits. On their way back, Yayoi takes a hair from Ai's head just in case. However, Keitarou quickly found himself in the presence of the white spirit and it tells him to protect Ai because she cannot protect her anymore, and the one they should watch out for is the brother. It is about to tell him who it is, but Keitarou wakes up when his phone rings. Yayoi tells him that Ai is in danger because the doll with Ai's hair in it is being strangled. They rush towards her place and Keitarou finds it strange that a 16-year-old is living on her own. Ai is sleeping and feels uncomfortable, thinking that it is sleep paralysis as she cannot move. She opens her eyes to find her brother strangling her, but she remains unharmed because the doll with her hair inside is taking the damage for the time being. Ai is perplexed at the scene and this little girl arrives to save her. The brother stops when the clock strikes 12 and Yayoi notices that it is his 49th day memorial. He is about to pass on when Yayoi asks his reason to attack his sister. He tells her that it was mercy and vanishes. Ai cries at the thought that her brother hated her, but Keitarou tells her that he did not feel any evil from him, so there must be a reason for his actions. Ai tells them that she does not understand because she is going to die in 4 years anyway, which makes them question this statement. Ai tells them that according to her family, the god will come for her when she turns 20. Keitarou looks at the picture beside the bed and notices the white spirit from his dream standing behind Ai and her brother, so he asks about it. Ai does not know anything about it and even Yayoi has to focus to be able to see it. Yayoi contemplates that this is the one she caught earlier and the star sign disappeared from Ai's eyes, but now it has came back because it is a seal. The white spirit wanted the brother gone so she could have Ai in 4 years. Yayoi confirms that the white spirit is a god because it was able to break free from her restraints and Ai is the god's bride. The lights go out and the spirits start gathering around them. Keitarou is surprised that Ai has been living in this house full of ghosts for 2 months and nothing has happened to her. Yayoi tells Aiko to come pick them up and messages in broken words that Keitarou, with a woman, come here. Keitarou is worried that she will misunderstand and she comes shortly after as expected. Aiko silently pressures Keitarou to introduce her as his girlfriend and he does so while blushing. Ai doubts that he is being tricked but greets Aiko thinking that she is beautiful. Keitarou asks her how she knew where he was, but Yayoi smoothly changes the topic to the spirits in the room. Aiko asks about the situation and Yayoi tells them that she is about to clean this room while typing the whole moment about the brother on the phone. Aiko reads the message and cheers Ai by asking her about snacks to eat when they head back. Keitarou leaves to use the toilet, but Yayoi warns him about the dangerous ghosts. However, unfortunately for Keitarou, he has already found it and chills fills his entire body. Keitarou sweats in fear in front of the spirit and decides to move past it, hoping that if he ignores it, it will not mind him, but the entity grins as Keitarou passes it. Keitarou goes to the toilet but he can feel its presence near him and fear takes over him. The girls sit in the bedroom, unaware of the situation while Keitarou washes his hands. Feeling the presence of the entity behind him, messing with his head. He feels it touching his brain stem. If it was not for the proxy doll, the ghost would have already ended him. Yayoi senses the doll in her hand move during this occurrence and Keitarou realizes that if they don't go now, they most likely will be killed. He rushes back to the room to tell the girls to hurry up and leave. They all realize the situation and run outside while Keitarou informs Yayoi about the entity behind them. They escape to the elevator and close the door, finding that the ghost is following them at each floor.
Cut the show. I'm done.
Now who in their right minds takes the dumbest route in these scenarios? Well, I guess everyone in a horror movie. That's exactly why 99% of the time they just end up dead, but you know. Anyways, they reach the ground and run and the ghost tries to snatch at Ai, but the seal protects her. At its second attempt, the ghost grabs Keitarou's leg and pulls him towards it. Ai and Aiko grab his hand to save him, but Keitarou lets his hand go when he watches their efforts not causing any result. As he is pulled inside the elevator, Yayoi also joins him and the door closes, leaving Aiko and Ai outside. Ai remembers the time when her elder told her to leave the house because she brings misfortune for the ones around her. Her brother had a job and was living alone, so he took her in. She remembers how her brother died, trying to save her, and now Keitarou was going to end up the same way. Aiko hugs her and tells her that Keitarou is going to be fine because Yayoi is with him. Keitarou and Yayoi observe the strange elevator door. As he tries to open the door, it keeps going further, even though there should be no basement in the building. What did I tell you? The dumbest route to exist. The door opens in a hall with flickering lights and the ghost appears in front of them, its eyes glowing. Probably wondering, y'all some dumbasses for taking an elevator when I'm a whole spirit. Or at least that's what I'm thinking at least. The ghost opens a portal and 4 brains appear from it into its hands. 4 spirits appear behind them. The ghost touches the brain stems and the spirits shriek in pain, begging the ghost to stop. The ghost points his finger and the spirits obey, pushing Keitarou forward. With the touch, Keitarou glimpses into the spirit's memory. how it felt pain when the ghost took its brain. Keitarou realizes that these are the victims and the same thing is happening to them as well. He notifies Yayoi of the situation, so she plans to pull the ghost into the elevator so that its power weakens and they can escape from its trap. Yayoi hands him a doll and runs outside to deal with the ghost. She provokes the ghost and places a rope between its legs, signaling Keitarou, who pulls the rope to make the ghost bind and fall. The ghost crawls to escape, but Keitarou is still holding him and the doll is angry with the ghost for targeting him. The ghost tries to grab the brains, but Yayoi stops it and the doll pulls it into the elevator and chews on it. Yayoi plans to take care of the ghosts in Ai's room and they have to cleanse the grudges of these spirits to help them pass on. The elevator passes by Aiko and Ai, so Yayoi texts them that they are both alright. They arrive at Ai's house and Yayoi lets the 4 spirits grab the ghost's brainstem to remove their grudges, because as long as Ai lives in this room, the god's power will heal the ghost, making him suffer from the same agonizing pain until the spirits are satisfied. The other ghosts will also stay away from the house after looking at this scene, and once these spirits pass on, she will eliminate them. Both of them go to Aiko and Ai, who are relieved to know that they are fine. Ai refuses to go with them because she is worried that she will cause them trouble again. She cries while saying that she cannot put them in danger anymore, but Keitarou tells her that since this is his job, he cannot leave her alone. Yayoi consoles her that she has trapped the ghost inside her house and no matter how many ghosts come after her, she will be sure to trap them away, so she tells her to come with them. On their way back, Ai is determined to investigate her brother's reason to attack her, but Keitarou is more worried about the god that will come after her when she turns 20. In the room where Yayoi restrained the god, all the dolls were ripped apart with blood all across the room. Yayoi says that she will make it pay when the so-called god emerges behind them and Ai falls unconscious. It tells them that all their efforts are futile, but Yayoi says otherwise because a god must be at least 500 years old and yet it selected a 20-years-old bride.
You're a victim!
Of course, Yayoi cannot be defeated by a lolicon. The god accepts her challenge, ready to collect them when the time arrives, and all the dolls start shaking from revenge, intent to take down the god. The god accepts the challenge and vanishes, but reappears inside Ai's body, proclaiming to destroy everyone who comes towards him and telling that Ai's fate will not change no matter what they do. It then vanishes, leaving the cursed seal in her eyes. Yayoi drags both of them outside because the god's power has disrupted the power balance of other ghosts, trapped inside the dolls, so they will consume the weaker ones to strengthen their own existence, until there is no one left. Outside the door, they hear horrid and painful shrieking, ghosts destroying each other until a silence prevails. Yayoi opens the door and finds a single doll in the middle and calls it Graduate. Keitarou is about to ask about it when his phone rings and he finds that it is Yayoi calling him, but she tells him to not answer, or else he would be killed. Keitarou is shocked to hear that an Aiko arrives from behind, her phone receiving a call from Yayoi as well. Yayoi and Keitarou look at her, but before they can tell her anything, the door closes behind them. Keitarou tries to open the door but fails and shouts at Aiko to not answer the call. Aiko, not knowing what to do, knocks at the door, her voice reaching inside, but Keitarou realizes that it is not her voice. Aiko stands outside, looking at the ringing phone while Yayoi traps the Graduate doll. As Aiko is about to answer the phone, Keitarou opens the door and stops her. Yayoi arrives with the trapped doll and tells Keitarou that since this doll is so strong that it can cause supernatural phenomena even when inside her room, she needs to find another place for it, which the name for this doll is called a Graduate. The next morning, they set up Ai's room and also cleaned up Yayoi's room. They make the arrangements so that Ai's room remains free of ghosts. After that, they clean Yayoi's room that is covered in blood, and Ai leaves for her parents' house to attend her brother's memorial. Keitarou, Yayoi and Aiko finish the cleaning and Yayoi breaks down that they would probably die in a fight against the god without any help, but they cannot back down now. Yayoi further tells her mission to defeat Kubo, the ghost that took her mother's spirit, by collecting ghosts in the dolls that act as her proxy during attacks. She had about 100 of them in her room that made an absolute defense. However, they have now lost the dolls thanks to the attack on the god, so they have a lot to do. Now, she wants to catch the god and bring it to her forces, but to do so, she needs to capture evil ghosts to provide them fighting potential, and capturing the god will save Ai from becoming his bride, and it will also help to defeat Kubo. Keitarou is worried about capturing the god, but Yayoi tells them that she once fought a different god. She managed to defeat it using 3 graduates, but since capturing it is difficult, they need to double the forces. Right now, she has 4 graduates and a transcendent Jizo that is a bit stronger than the graduates are. With these 5 forces, she plans to strike the most dangerous spots of Tokyo and the country. Therefore, while they are conquering the normal haunted spots, she would like to have at least one more graduate level doll. She even mapped the locations of the strongest haunted spots across the country on her phone. She used volunteers from the internet to place the danger rank, so once they conquer Tokyo and gather enough strength, they will strike the rest of the country. After hearing the planning, Aiko and Keitarou are in a daze. Keitarou looks at the map and asks about the meaning of danger rank unknown. Yayoi tells her that as the name indicates, it could be nothing and could be extremely dangerous. In addition, if they can catch the ghosts from the map 20 locations, their victory is certain against the god and Kubo. Hearing this, Aiko and Keitarou are rendered speechless. To brighten the mood, Aiko says to leave the driving to her and Keitarou knows that he has to steel himself for the upcoming events. Now that they have ended their discussion, Keitarou decides to start the lesson, turning the two girls to stone and panicking because they have not done their homework. When Yayoi is done with her lessons, she asks to take a stroll, so Keitarou takes her on a bike ride. Keitarou wonders what could be the reason for her invitation because this is the first time Yayoi invited him. He talks about how they have picked a fight with a god. After all, they do not have enough lives for that sort of thing. Yayoi tells him that she has always been fighting alone to get her mother back, but the fact that Keitarou was willing to protect her, it shows that he is willing to fight together with her. That made her happy, and that is why she accidentally picked a fight with something so big. Keitarou smiles at her thinking, and Yayoi confesses that she doesn't just think of him as bait anymore, she sees him as an important partner now. She thanks him for being by her side, and Keitarou asks if there was a place she would like to go because he will take her there. Yayoi tells him about a place, but night overshadows the day and Keitarou is still riding the bike. They still have not reached that place. He asks where they are going. Yayoi tells him that she meant to go to a dangerous place right away, so she deliberately left it unmarked. Keitarou has a bad feeling about it. Actually, it is not a feeling but a belief when his teeth clatter from fear. They are headed to the scariest haunted spot ranked S. The bike stops in the middle of a forest, in front of H Castle ruins, and Yayoi does her usual let's go practice. Yayoi tells about the characteristics of the places ranked S and beyond. They all have one similarity: once you are in them, they will not let you go. Either they will trap you, or you will be hit by a curse that ignores range. Keitarou is too scared and asks how she knows about that, and she replies that she knows from experience. What the frick kind of experience did a little girl manage to get at this age? Keitarou can feel the pressure that is drowning him from this place, but he knows that they have been able to deal with every supernatural phenomenon up till now, so they will face this one together as well. Yayoi also affirms that they simply have to capture it no matter what they face. Both of them head inside the ruins where a creepy aura prevails. Yayoi senses that the ghost residing in the area is not sinister, just strong, because no matter how much she researched, she never found records of anyone passing here. It is a historical place open for public, but no one comes here twice aside for those who study history. This proves that the entity here strongly scare people away. They head to the waterfall that has been marked as the scariest place, but as they turn back, they face an old lady standing in front of them. She asks if they are here on a tour, and Yayoi says that they want to see the waterfall. Keitarou wants to stop Yayoi, but the lady tells them that she will guide them to their destination. Yayoi hands her phone to Keitarou to read rumors about this place. These rumors include hearing footsteps from behind, feeling the stares of people, listening the voice of flute and drum, sensing a strong presence near the waterfall, and meeting an old woman even though it's nighttime. The old woman starts walking and Yayoi follows because she knows that it has already started. On their way there, the old woman says that the waterfall is a place of regret. She further says that in the Azuchi Momoyama period, this castle was taken down in a single day. Against 1,000 soldiers in this castle, the enemy sent 10,500 men. Most of the soldiers were fighting somewhere else, and the ones inside the castle could not fight, and yet they were not allowed to surrender. The women had to be beheaded and displayed, so that the men returning from the battle would have their hearts broken. The water that used to flow from here was said to be red for 3 days and 3 nights. Keitarou whispers to Yayoi that he does not think this is a good idea, but she replies that they are definitely pillaging on them. There is a goal they must achieve, and there is a life they need to save. They will use evil against evil, and even if it is not an evil ghost, it can still harm them, so she hands a doll to Keitarou as his defense while she has a graduate level spirit for herself. The old woman looks at them, and a hand made of smoke approaches Keitarou but soon vanishes when he senses it. Since Yayoi cannot watch ghosts and the environment in these eerie surroundings, she tells Keitarou to tell her when he senses something. The old woman tells them to keep walking, but Keitarou senses footsteps behind him when the old woman takes steps in front of him. He starts walking thinking that it is his imagination while Yayoi observes the old woman closely. Keitarou grabs her hand saying that it is dark and cold while smiling. In the next second, her eyes goes out of light and she is holding the woman's hand, who is no longer an old woman. Yayoi says that Keitarou is different from usual in her dazed state. Keitarou finds himself walking alone and hears footsteps from behind. His teeth start clattering from fear, but he snaps out of it and runs to find Yayoi. Yayoi keeps walking with the fake Keitarou, who is smiling, and she keeps staring at him. Aiko takes a break from doing her assignment and checks Keitarou's location to know what he is doing, but finds that the location is unknown. Keitarou keeps running and calling for Yayoi but does not succeed in finding her. Yayoi walks with the fake Keitarou and asks why he is smiling so much because normally, he would be so scared. He grins sinisterly and Yayoi falls on the ground saying that she feels sick. The old woman stands beside her and notices the small doll on Yayoi's finger but licks her lips saying that she looks delicious. Keitarou tries to sense the creepy presence of the graduate that Yayoi is carrying. He passes by a ghost while running and upon sensing, he can see a lot of ghosts surrounding him. He tries to run but cannot move because he is paralyzed by a ghost. He realizes that his body is being taken over by the ghost and loses light in his eyes. A voice whispers in his mind not to forget while he stands in the water that is quickly turning red. Several ghosts emerge from the water, crawling to his face, telling him to never forget. He wakes up as the ghost comes too close to him and finds himself all alone again. He thinks that it was an illusion but blood appears on his hand when he rubs his neck. Just then, he decides to use the front camera of his phone, finding a wound on his neck. He watches the doll with its head ripped apart, lying on the ground. He thinks that it is a curse that can pass through a proxy. He is frightened when he watches several ghost hands caressing his face in the camera. One hand opens his wound further apart that makes Keitarou run for his life. He runs for Yayoi and watches her run away from him. While chasing her, Keitarou falls down a slope and finds Yayoi hanging in front of him. He remembers her words before coming here and cries while shaking her. Feeling as if a presence is behind him, he turns to only find a waterfall there. He watches the spirits in the water merge together and emerge in the form of a girl's head with blood gushing out of its neck. The girl tells him to never forget that it will be engraved upon him, so that he stays there forever, even after his death. Keitarou remembers Yayoi saying that once they come inside, it will not let them go. He falls on his knees, thinking that they underestimated this place. He cries in front of Yayoi, whose fingers move slightly. However, in another part of the forest, Yayoi is frozen by the old woman's spirit who finds her delicious, but before she can do anything, she is stabbed in the eye by the spirit on her finger. The woman cannot believe that Yayoi's finger is still moving while she is frozen. To Yayoi's luck, she comes back to consciousness by the screaming voice of Keitarou calling her name. Waking up, Yayoi starts punishing the woman for attacking her and eventually traps her. Yayoi is glad that Keitarou called her name, or she wouldn't have made it through. She is also glad of the finger spirit that helped her. Keitarou looks at the hung-up Yayoi thinking how it's all over only for the body to wake up with a creepy face and hug Keitarou, trapping him. He tries to free himself but also is sure that if Yayoi is alive, she will save him. The only constraint he has now is time. The ghost is pulling him up and numerous skeletons are floating. It turns out that this evil spirit not only kills people but also keeps their bodies forever trapped. The spirit's head appears in front of Keitarou ready to slowly stab his throat to a torturous death. Keitarou starts panicking to free himself, but his savior comes right on time. Keitarou picks up Yayoi happily and starts explaining the situation about the spirits never leaving this dome once they are killed, which is why nobody heard of this space. Yayoi gets proof of this being true as the spirit on her finger is also shaking with fear. She asks Keitarou to put her down and tells him they can only defeat this evil spirit by overwhelming her with a stronger power. She opens up the spirit of the high priest of evil tongue and tells him to start his sermon. Yayoi gives Keitarou noise-canceling headphones as whoever hears the priest dies and is sent straight to hell. The animals around start dying. The female ghosts are being pulled out from inside the spirit, but suddenly the priest's head is cut off by the evil spirit. However, the sutra continues. She then breaks his tongue so he cannot speak, but all the dead bodies and pulled out ghosts also start chanting the sutra. The dome breaks, bringing the evil spirit back into her whole body. She then escapes, but Keitarou's spirit senses back, and he takes Yayoi to it. The lady's spirit starts chanting the sutra herself involuntarily, and then is captured by Yayoi. However, it is too soon to celebrate as Keitarou starts chanting the sutra as well. Yayoi puts her hand on his throat and presses on his vocal cords to stop him from speaking. This effect knocks the crisp breezy out of it, but he has to hurry and seal the spirit down in less than a couple of seconds as the sutra will only take this much time to kill a human. Keitarou keeps trying to do so and it is only in the last 2 seconds that he succeeds. Yayoi then follows the weird aura connected to the spirit she captured. Turns out the spirit wasn't evil but had a talisman attached to it which drove her mad into killing people. Yayoi then buries the graduate doll and frees the spirit woman. It is Keitarou burying it while Yayoi fake cheers for him. Yayoi asks if Keitarou wants to stop spirit hunting, but Keitarou wants to be with her so he will continue this journey. Before they leave, the spirit woman meets them again and tells Yayoi to call upon her if she ever needs help. The two then leave for home now that they are done with S-rank spirit hunting. When they arrive home, Aiko is mad at them for going without her, but Yayoi tells her the whole story and invites her for an even scarier hunt. Keitarou tries to get a break, but Yayoi thinks that the Castle H spirit's splitting ability and their hold on the priest's spirit can help them protect themselves now. Aiko gets excited, so Yayoi tells her the place is the old F tunnel in O City in Tokyo where the sighting of a woman in a kimono is rumored. Keitarou fears going to another S-rank place, but Aiko is excited to go. Yayoi then mentions doing something about the mummified hand, The talisman. Aiko and Keitarou freak out about keeping a human hand in their house and tell Yayoi they should store it somewhere in an isolated place. Yayoi dejectedly leaves to get ready for the journey. Aiko talks to Keitarou and tells him he must have enjoyed the thrill of being in danger, anticipating what happens next, and finally getting out of it. Even though Keitarou is genuinely scared, with Aiko's hands on him, he cannot deny the words that he likes to feel fear. Even though Aiko is telling him she will be there with him on this journey, something about her tone and expression feels a little dark during this whole conversation.
とっても楽しめたんだね。
なんで
Oswald and Nenkobo appear at the waterfall realizing that their talisman is gone. The young boy kills the old woman's spirit they had left to guard it, so she passes on. The two then talk about bringing forth some spirit while the boy wonders what it must be doing right now. The seed of the moonless dawn, the specter of death, carries a bunch of baby spirits crying and wailing. This powerful spirit is expected to clash with Kishimajan. Aiko is as excited as ever about the trip while Keitarou is as scared as ever. Yayoi tells them she wants to look around and pick another graduate as a backup before they go to the tunnel. She keeps the graduates in isolated places to not of their aura affect people. She tells Keitarou that this spirit isn't evil but is incredibly dangerous as it belongs to a soldier who fought in the South Pacific during the war and has the spirits of the soldiers he killed who seek vengeance. The spirit is constantly picked at by them but has a strong enough resilience to heal quickly. Yayoi is on friendly terms with the soldier, but they need to seal him with a black rope to restrict the other soldiers. When the three reach the place, they find weird marks on the mannequin that has the seal. Suddenly, the little old TV beside the mannequin lights up showing shadows of a bunch of soldier spirits walking towards them. The spirits once again target Keitarou and the water that Yayoi gave him to drink since the soldiers died of thirst didn't help him either. The soldiers start trying to bite his body to quench their thirst with his blood, so Aiko decides to help him out. She dodges the soldiers and reaches the mannequin to take out the graduate. She hands Keitarou the black rope as Aiko throws the graduate towards them. He manages to catch it and seal it to save himself in time. Even though the two are exhausted, this little girl is still energetic to head to the real destination. In the car, Yayoi sews back the torn-up graduate that is supposed to protect them as it got torn while retrieving the soldier's graduate. Meanwhile, as Aiko is bringing some drinks for everyone, she feels a spirit instead of her reflection in the window for a moment but thinks it must be a mistake. She feels a rush of adrenaline thinking about how recent events gave her a thrill and gets back in the car to continue their journey. The two park their car as close as they can to the tunnel. Yayoi tells them there are 3 tunnels, the new F tunnel, the old F tunnel, and the old F tunnel. Keitarou tells them he is getting the weirdest aura from the old F tunnel. Yayoi gives them each some spirit dolls for protection so they can head inside the tunnel. Aiko searches for the reason why this place is said to be haunted and comes up with multiple responses. Some talk about a psycho within a weapon who killed an entire family, multiple cries coming from inside the tunnel, the blood stains of the woman who got hit by a car inside the tunnel, the appearance of a curved traffic mirror that traps a person whoever looks directly into it, and many more. Aiko then notices a traffic mirror behind her and looks into it wondering if it is real or not.
You are made of stupid.
Motherfricker, you literally just looked up the rumors and your dumbass gonna look right into it. She suggests to the two that she search on the internet to know which is real or fake, but a glitch occurs and she suddenly tells them the service is slow. The three then head inside the tunnel. Suddenly, Aiko looks up from her phone while standing in the same spot outside the tunnel and finds her friends gone. She is wondering if they left without her when a young girl comes outside the tunnel and introduces herself as a YouTuber, Anna. She tells Aiko that she saw 2 people inside and they can go together so she can record her content while Aiko can find her friends. As the two walk inside, the girl asks if Aiko knows much about the place. So Aiko mentions what she read on the internet. Anna starts narrating the story about the psycho with an axe, but they see the exit to the tunnel. As the two step outside, they find themselves back inside the tunnel at an entrance. No matter how they try to step outside, they find themselves back inside the tunnel again, but every time they get close, Aiko finds something weird on the floor that she doesn't know are body organs. Yayoi asks Keitarou where he finds the weird energy coming from in this tunnel. Keitarou thinks of it and is freaked out upon realizing that it is coming from Aiko walking behind them. Yayoi realized it right away as she saw her as a different person, a girl with no skin on her body, right after Aiko dumbass looked into the traffic mirror, but Yayoi was aware that they had to enter the tunnel to find out where Aiko was taken. Anna holds onto Aiko and decides to complete the story even though they are in a grave situation. She tells Aiko that the worst part about the psycho is that he first cuts the person's legs off, and then proceeds to rip out the organs of the person that won't kill them and aligns them on the floor. This is the moment she realizes those were human organs, and not of any other human but of Anna. The psycho spirit then rips off the skin of one's face and wears it as it kills the person slowly. Aiko suddenly sees Anna's whole body ripped but placed on the floor aligned and in blood as Anna tells her it will be Aiko's future. Aiko suddenly finds herself outside the tunnel but on a dead end towards the entrance of the old tunnel. Anna tells her she enjoyed watching her friend who tried to save her being killed and would like to see the same fate for Aiko. On cue, the axe Psycho comes out of the tunnel door with Anna's face skin and approaches Aiko. Aiko tries to run but finds herself at the entrance of an old tunnel again and again. Suddenly, the safety doll's leg falls off and Keitarou starts feeling cold and troubled. The spirit pretending to be Aiko attacks Keitarou and turns out to be their friend Anna. It also wants everyone to have the same fate. Defeating her, the two figures Aiko are at the old tunnel. The S-tunnel ghost comes out to fight the psycho spirit but gets defeated. As Aiko is pulled inside the tunnel, the other two reach the place. The psycho spirit mocks them to follow it inside and goes in. Seeing this spirit wear the S-tunnel ghost's face, Yayoi realizes that the spirit won't be easy to defeat. She tells Keitarou that their priority inside the tunnel is to rescue Aiko and come out. They can only fight the spirit outside because if they try to release their graduates inside, the narrow, vulnerable tunnel might break and kill them. As the two enter the old tunnel, Keitarou feels his eyeballs being pulled as the spirit is trying to pop them out. They start running and find another spirit without eyeballs being tortured by the psycho spirit. Yayoi figures that the spirit wants to play tag with them. If they don't get caught, Aiko can leave with them. The two start running and Keitarou starts hearing his name. He thinks it is Aiko but finds her with her mouth taped shut. It is all the spirits of the face skin chanting his name and how it is not easy to escape. He picks Aiko on his back and the three start running while dodging the spirit and its attacks. The tortured spirit tries to capture them and gets stuck, but Yayoi helps Keitarou and Aiko. The two of them manage to come out but Yayoi gets trapped by the spirit. She would have been in grave danger if Aiko hadn't thrown the protection doll at her. As the three are now out, Yayoi can bring out her soldier graduate, called the Immortal Martyr, who wants to die himself. The fight begins but the soldier takes out the mask that the spirit is currently wearing. Some lines appear near the land and whoever comes inside that boundary gets weaker because the soldier weakens himself every time he draws a weapon so he can get killed. Yayoi video calls Aiko and leave her phone telling the two to rush as far away from the scene as possible, as the boundary increases every time a new weapon is drawn and coming under the third stage would paralyze them and leave them suffering for centuries, so they should hope for things to get done in the second stage. This, however, doesn't happen. The soldier doesn't die even after being cut into two, so he goes to the second stage. The psycho spirit then eats him after ripping apart his body, but its stomach is torn, and the soldier comes out all good again. The soldier then takes out another weapon to get weaker and this time, Keitarou's feet come under the influence, weakening his body. The spirit also gets weak enough and is devoured by the vengeful soldiers. The soldier then blasts himself and every spirit around to kill them, but he is reborn and fine yet again. He goes back inside the doll hoping to die some other day. The three come back once the situation is dissolved and unexpectedly, this little girl asks if this spirit wants to live on with her or pass on. The spirit decides to live on so it can kill others under Yayoi's control, but she seems to have other plans. She had captured him in the doll and nailed the doll to have him go through the torment he put others in and then sealed his evil urges, so he never gets to feel the thrill again. Yayoi then goes inside the old tunnel and captures the spirits of killed people under two brackets, the bad ones and the good ones. The good ones for the temple and the bad ones for her room. As the three get back in the car, Aiko tells them she will drive even with the injured leg as she owes them that for the trouble. However, the car starts on its own. Turns out the spirit of Anna had been inside Aiko this whole time and wants them all to die. She starts driving the car to get it into an accident, but Yayoi restricts it in time. Since Aiko felt like they were friends for a tiny while, Yayoi hands her the block Anna is trapped in and leaves the choice to her. Once they reach home, Keitarou is put to rest rightly while Aiko seems depressed and scared. She had always felt the thrill and excitement but never really witnessed the fear and danger from this close before. Now that she does, she doesn't know what she wants. Aiko decides to go for a walk to figure it all out, but Yayoi decides to tag along. While on the train, Yayoi tells Aiko to not feel pressured to tag along as she doesn't want to hurt her family while Aiko is glad to have her around. When she had met her 3 years ago, she found her weird but slowly grew closer to her. Keitarou wakes up and thinks about how he got cursed and then hurt Aiko as well, something he doesn't want to do anymore. Even though he starts his normal life soon, he still wants to get rid of the curse and worries about it. He drops a text to Aiko asking about her well-being while Aiko tells Yayoi that she needs to visit a place to know what she wants. Yayoi simply decides to tag along. The two walk towards the famous grave of Terra no Masakado at Kanto, which is said to be cursed and haunted. Yayoi questions why she would want to come here to find her answers, so Aiko tells her she once visited this city with Keitarou and his headache and heaviness while passing the grave told her this is a scary place. She walked towards this place while checking if she would stop in fear during the way or not, but with every move of her heartbeat, she walked faster towards the place. This gives her the answer that she wants to continue ghost hunting with them. Yayoi tells her that she also likes to walk into danger and let it test her as it gives her a thrill. At home, Aiko is relieved to finally have made her choice and goes on to search for something. She had asked asked if the dolls were the only way to capture spirits, but Yayoi told her she could do it in anything that is repairable as it helps the spirits heal from injuries. She makes a slime figure in the shape of a human body and traps Anna's spirit in it creepily, deciding to keep her as a best friend forever. Meanwhile, Ai is walking with her luggage in town when she stops to see a shrine. The spirit beside her is excited to annoy the spirit in the shrine but stops, getting even more excited upon seeing the presence of the specter of death in the sky. Aiko finds a site for buying abandoned haunted houses to store all the graduates and the talisman. After choosing one, the two go to visit the house that is said to be the House of Virgin Conception. Anyone who goes in is rumored to give birth to the spirits of the victims murdered inside. Even though the owner warned them, the two decide to go inside to check the place as it is perfect for hiding the graduates. The girls head towards the door to the house when it opens itself. Yayoi is surprised to not find a ghost inside, only for a spirit to travel into the house from behind them. They also cautiously walk in only to find the father and the daughter leading the spirit inside. Inside the room are 2 glasses of water and the third one spilled. Aiko touches the glass only to get hypnotized and move it towards her mouth. Yayoi timely stops her and sees the father-daughter duo drag the dead spirit towards another room. They then throw the spirit inside a well in the room and then burn it. Something comes up in response and goes through the ceiling. Yayoi can tell that the spirits are recreating their memories but is surprised to know Aiko can see it too. Hearing footsteps, they decide to go up and have a look. They find a spiritual altar in the room above with a ghost of a skeleton. The womb of the skeleton has 3 fetuses inside while a giant-headed baby, whom the daughter called a blessing, looks towards Aiko calling her mama. On their way back, they witness a room showing a fragment of the family's memory when they were happily working in the kitchen, but a slight push after an argument by the father killed the mother. This started rumors and blamed the two for killing the woman, tearing their family apart. Their despair increased every day, so when a shady person appeared, telling the daughter to do something to get a blessing that would bring them salvation, she didn't think it through. She was asked to mate with her father and give birth to a child.
What did he say?
The baby, so her spirit decided to store it in a vessel so an angel could be born for their salvation. She used her mother's body to hold the angel while they killed people to feed the spirit. The father committed suicide after the daughter died. Yayoi tells Aiko to run before the angel catches them, only for one to be outside the house. It gets a hold of Aiko's stomach, but Yayoi brings out the spirit that attacks the angel and gets rid of it. Aiko sits back in the car and shares her relief of being safe, but turns out she isn't safe. Another baby appears in the backseat of the car and drags Aiko outside while locking Yayoi in. The baby goes inside Aiko from her mouth and travels down into her stomach. That is when Yayoi realizes why they weren't being attacked by the spirits of father and daughter.
ごめん
The last step to get the angel for salvation is to have it birthed in physical form, for which they need a woman. She also realizes that there are 3 souls of potential angels, so 2 more need to be defeated. Aiko talks to Keitarou to feel better before Yayoi has to attack the spirit while it is inside her body. To their surprise, the spirit doesn't attack Aiko when being tortured and gets out of her body. The protection spirit then kills it too, but Aiko has a curse left inside her body that can only be rid of once the last angel spirit is killed. The two walk inside again, but the daughter's spirit grabs Aiko's ankle, showing her an illusion of her being pregnant and her abdomen exploding due to the giant baby. She comes back to her senses when Yayoi calls her name and proceeds to get back to the door to get some air. However, in just a blink, Aiko disappears and finds herself near the well. Just then, she is pushed down by the daughter, as Aiko's screams can be heard even from outside the house. The last angel approaches her inside the well. Yayoi the savior strikes again at saving Aiko and brings her out of the well. The two then proceed to get rid of the weakened angel. Upstairs, the daughter asks the father to get swallowed by the baby to give it energy, but before that, the baby kills her spirit and devours her. The girls reach up as the father stands there. He asks them to kill it and him, as he is the one to blame for it all. Had he stopped his daughter from doing all this, things would have been different by now. As his sad monologue ends, the baby swallows them all. To the luck of humans, they do not come in contact with the teeth of the baby and have the spirit to save them, but the father gets sliced into 2. The baby is exorcismed, but the curse from Aiko's body and the altar still don't disappear. It is only when Aiko realizes there is a patch in the wooden wall behind that Yayoi realizes that the altar is an illusion for gifted people to not let them see the patch. They remove the piece of wood and find a piece of bone in a box. The curse on Aiko's body disappears as Yayoi crushes the bone. Yayoi then asks Aiko to buy the house and decides that the verdict for the father after killing 17 people is that he has to keep living in this house and face the punishment. The news of a high-speed train derailing and crashing is heard on the news. It is at the place near the shrine where I was present. The spirit with eye is amused at the fetus for managing to cause this harm but blows half of it away in just a single attack. However, the fetus manages to kill one of his guardians, amusing him. The spirit then heals the fetus with its seeing flesh and gives it some tips to be more powerful. Yayoi and Aiko excitedly visit Keitarou, feed him well, and send him to bed pretending to take extra care of him, but Keitarou knows they are not this sweet for no reason. The two then discuss outside about their new hunt the next day, proving to Keitarou that they were there for a motive. On their way back, Yayoi tells them they are going to hunt an evil-hearted courtesan in the Kei area, someone who is not going to be as cooperative as the imprisoned martyr. Their next destination is going to be a nearby S-rank place, the Old Eye Watergate. The whole conversation makes Aiko ask why Yayoi didn't take any graduates with her when she went to meet Kishimajin. We can see a glimpse of a future when the Spectre of Death also realizes the one weakness of Kishimajin and decides to use it along with the tip from the God Eye to condense his power. It absorbs all the souls of the young lad's spirits surrounding Kishimajin, but she cannot attack it because the suns speak from within. Yayoi mentions that Kishimajin is bound to not harm the youngsters, which is why she didn't go with any graduates, and it was the unborn spirit that attacked her, not Kishimajin. The trio reaches the Banana Milk Hotel where Yayoi stored the courtesan graduate. It is a place where gangs used to bring abducted girls, waste them, have their way with them, and then off them, so the spirits of all those girls still haunt the place. The spirits try to escape, but every time they try to get out of the exit they disappear. Their pain and cries have created a secret room inside the hotel where they all are trapped and trying to escape. Yayoi figured out the pattern they were trying to escape from, reverse engineered it, and found the secret room to hide the graduate. However, the graduate is not very fond of her and has made the secret room her personal space for pleasure, so if Yayoi tries to get inside again, she is sent back to the entrance. This is why Keitarou is needed here. Being a guy, he will be pulled into the secret room by the courtesan easily. With proper preparation, the three get into the hotel and it only takes one step to pull Keitarou into the spirit world. Keitarou freaks out a bit but then gets down to business while Yayoi and Aiko follow him using his GPS. He follows the instructions Yayoi gave her to use a spirit to lead them to the secret room, barely managing to dodge harm twice and even gets his body switched by the spirit. When she touches him, but to his luck, he gets back into his body by jerking the spirit's hand away.
Oh, hell no!
Keitarou rushes into the secret room once he finds it to get away from that wandering spirit. He sees the shadow of someone inside the attached bath and finds Aiko trapped in ropes in the tub. He is releasing her thinking she got abducted, but when she starts seducing him, he realizes it is the courtesan pretending to be Aiko. The courtesan gets back into her original burnt down form and touches Keitarou so that he also has his skin melted down like hers unless he opens the rope and releases her. Keitarou pretends he is helping her only to use the black rope to tie her down. To his misfortune, the spirit captures his hand right before he can tighten the rope to restrict her powers. To add to the trouble, the wandering spirit also enters the room to switch bodies with Keitarou. Aiko and Yayoi have reached the room but cannot see anything. Yayoi captures the wandering spirit, understanding it is up to something, and the two enter the bath. They can vaguely hear Keitarou from the spirit world, ensuring them he is right there. Aiko's cursed hand twitches and moves on, feeling like it is headed towards Keitarou. She lets the hand work on instinct as it touches Keitarou's struggling hand, trying to tie the rope, and pulls it in Keitarou's aid. The rope tightens, trapping the graduate and completing their mission. Yayoi praises Keitarou for doing this on his own, while Keitarou is glad that Aiko helped him at the hand. The three then get back into the car with Keitarou once again tired that this wasn't their real job, and they have to head to the Watergate now. He shares the body switching incident, which makes Yayoi check his memories to ensure he is the real Keitarou. Aiko also shares a story of evil spirits entering human bodies and wandering like normal people, which is pretty scary and dangerous for everyone. Keitarou is glad to barely have survived this as they continue their journey to the old Watergate. Oswald sits with an old woman Shami in front of a man in a temple and cures a cursed knife. The man asks Oswald if he is fine as curses are readily attacking gifted people these days. Oswald mentions a memory of theirs and leaves after a few jokes. Outside, Shami and Oswald laugh at the fact that people think curses cannot get a hold of the memories of the person they possess, but they can do so. Curses can also use the abilities of the people they possess. The two cursed people then walk out as Shami mentions going to handle an animosity talisman after this. The hunter trio reaches the Watergate and finds Shami standing there. Turns out Shami is a famous TV host of a ghost show known to have survived the old tunnel and many other places. Yayoi gets excited to know more about her and approaches her, making the other two get her to calm her excitement down. After knowing if they are aware of the danger this place possesses, Shami, or more like the curse in her body, gets excited to deal with these youngsters. Aiko shares stories about this place where people have seen many spirits and their body parts floating in the river, a woman on top of the gate, and some other instances. Keitarou, for a moment, gets a weird feeling from her, but it vanishes right away. However, he doesn't sense a heavy aura in the place. Yayoi, however, can see the spirits and bodies in the river. Everyone heads forward and finds some kids in a gazebo-like place drawing on their notepads. They all rush back as their curfew is up except for one kid. Keitarou heads to make sure the kid leaves before the sun sets, but the kid hands him his notepad. Keitarou starts reading the story about the kid living with his dad until he brings a woman home. The kid pretended to like his new mother for the sake of his father, even though he was made to starve and live on the balcony. One day, the kid witnessed the woman with another man in the house. His father came and got into a fight, ending up dead. All he heard was some crunching noises later, after which the woman handed him some meatballs to throw in the river. However, since he was hungry, he ended up eating those foul-tasting meatballs. The woman also killed the other man and then found him and killed him too. The spirit of the kid then saw his body being chopped into meatballs, making him realize what he ate was the meat of his father.
ついた。
待て、お父さんなんじゃないか。
Yayoi at first did not see him as a spirit, but he was not a human and was a ghost seeking vengeance from the woman. Driven by rage, he now sees his stepmother in every person he meets and wants them to feel the pain and suffering, so he hangs them on the bridge. Shami tries to save Keitarou but gets her arm cut off and then is dragged to the bridge and hung. She also gets her whole body crushed, which is bad for the curse that just got into her body. This is witnessed by the three as the drawings of the notebook keep changing scenarios, showing all the people hung on the bridge and also the three of them on the bridge, showing they are going to meet the same fate as well.
お母さんがいっぱいいます。どうしよう。みんな肉団子にしよう。
Yayoi figures that the kid colors the part of the body it wants to kill, and that part of someone's body turns into meatballs for him to eat and get his energy from. The drawings are the actual curse, so they need to snatch the notebook to get rid of the curse that has been inflicted upon them and then use their spirits to finish him off. Before anything else, a hand captures Yayoi and drags her away while another captures Keitarou from moving. Yayoi tries to fight off but ends up being captured. She is taken to the gate and is hung and choked using those hands extruding from the boy while the water level starts rising to drown Keitarou since he is captured. Keitarou asks Aiko to go save Yayoi and then come for him. As Aiko is rushing, the boy attacks her but the doll in her hand is taking her hits. The cherry on top is her slime figurine of Anna kept in her room to take her damage. Since the slime fills again easily, the spirit is healing and not letting the attacks reach Aiko. She successfully saves Yayoi and the two rush towards Kato, but the door to the stairs closes before Aiko can leave and sends her into an illusion of his stepmother and the other man chopping up bodies in the washroom. Yayoi manages to break open the door as Aiko is being attacked, but the spirit protects Aiko in time and sends the spirits back to the boy. Aiko and Yayoi come up with a plan to fight back. Yayoi saves Keitarou while Aiko attacks the boy with the black rope from afar to not let him harm them. As the three run, Yayoi hits him with the rope again, making him fight back. She does it so the boy can get enraged and attack them back, and she can have the courtesan graduate take the hit so that when she frees her, the courtesan attacks the boy instead of them. Otajiri is a soul-sucking courtesan who sucks the souls from everything around her and makes them age faster. She uses this energy to make herself prettier and stronger. However, the boy has accumulated his energy to make himself stronger and manages to take a hit at Otajiri's skin. This makes her skin melt, so she absorbs energy from surrounding using the butterflies around her. Whoever the butterfly touches starts aging to help her heal. The boy also falls sick with the same diseases that Otajiri had in her life since he ate meatballs from her skin. This is the second stage of her curse. The boy still fights back and keeps hitting Otajiri and destroying her body. Yayoi knows if Otajiri's body is destroyed at once, it is all over, so she throws Otajiri's old mirror that was used to show her how ugly she got to increase her rage and move her to the third stage of her curse. Otajiri used to be a pretty courtesan, but a beautiful girl coming to learn from her plotted against her, destroyed her life, and made her broke and ugly. When the girl revealed her evil plan to Otajiri, she burned the girl and herself alive as revenge. So, when she saw her ugly self in the mirror again, the same rage was back. The third stage of her curse is the white-hot flames of resentment fueled by her life. Her burning mance makes the surroundings turn into her burning district, and whoever comes under the influence of fire or the butterflies feels the burning of hell. The burning then gives Otajiri energy to heal. Even though the boy can also heal, Otajiri wins in this aspect as she has multiple ways, while the boy can only do so by eating spirits and bodies. He is restricted by the fire from attaining those spirits. The boy tries to attack Otajiri but fails and is defeated badly by her. As Otajiri dances in victory, Yayoi tells Keitarou to seal her before she comes to attack them, but suddenly all the butterflies appear around them since Otajiri used her celebration as a distraction for them. Yayoi brings out the Castle H ghost to help them. She keeps killing the butterflies approaching the three and then destroys Otajiri's eyes so she cannot guide the butterflies. Keitarou succeeds in stealing her with the help of the H ghost. Yayoi captures the boy in a lion doll and punishes him, but the sympathy for his situation makes her hand him his notebook back so he can think of her as a friend. The three are glad they managed to succeed with each other's support. Yayoi starts surfing through Shami's bag and finds the talisman in it. They realize it is another part of what they already have. Yayoi cannot sense her spirit anywhere, which also brings out the possibility that she was switched with a curse before coming here. As the three call the police and make up a story of discovering multiple bodies, the curse of Shami consumes one of the dead bodies and follows them to the police station. One of the policemen witnesses the weird curse on top of Aiko's car but thinks it is an illusion. After their interview, the three come across Shami's sister, who is also gifted. The sister can sense the spirit in the doll, so she knows how Shami died, but she also knows that her sister was compromised a while back. She saw the changed base colors of her aura after she came back from the tunnel. She invites Yayoi to train her, but Yayoi thinks she doesn't need the two exchange contact for times of need. After they leave, the same policeman feels anxious about the incident of multiple bodies and what he saw in the car. The two policemen then witness a little girl in the station, so one of them follows her. He finds her in the corner of the corridor and sees a spirit hanging from the wall with a bunch of heads hanging from her. The spirit asks for his head too. The other policeman follows him and sees him in a maddened state, continuously repeating to give his head back. The next day, a bunch of policemen are found in the same maddened state, and after a while, they all die. The weird unexplainable incident was kept hidden from the public. The curse inside Shami found another body and got picked up through Oswald, who narrated the entire incident of the two youngsters and a kid fighting and capturing a ghost. When Aiko and Yayoi get back home, they switch on the TV to the news of the derailing train. Yayoi's eyes see the specter of death and Ai there, figuring it was the doing of Ai's god and the specter of death. She wishes to go and find out about Ai, but Keitarou and Aiko remind her about her school starting. Feeling the burden of being dependent upon Aiko's family, Yayoi compromises, checking up on her friend and preparing for school. Keitarou and Aiko decide to ditch their classes and visit Kyoto for this. The next day, Yayoi walks while thinking of why Ai's god would heal the specter when a girl comes and stands across Yayoi, telling her she studies in the class next to her. Dorothy, the shady girl, also holds a doll and tells her she can see spirits too. Dorothy is the curse of Shami, who witnessed the whole Watergate incident. Luckily, the original Dorothy used to know Yayoi from school and be scared of her due to the scary curse and evil spirits surrounding her. She expresses interest in exploring school spirits with Yayoi, especially the one in the locked room, since she got a copy of the key to it. Yayoi finds her a little shady and agrees to do so, also making sure to keep an eye on her. During class, Yayoi searches on the internet for stories but finds nothing authentic. The class rep tells her to make some friends or she will be a loner, while the friends of the rep, Futaba and Iki, tell her to not disturb Yayoi. Yayoi asks them if they know anything about the rumored 7 ghosts of the school, which makes a 4th character, Daisuke, appear, mocking Yayoi for believing in ghosts. Yayoi and Daisuke get into a battle of who is stronger, which is interrupted by Dorothy, who tells them this can be settled by checking for the potential places of the 7 ghosts. Yayoi finds it a little troublesome that Dorothy is involving them all in visiting the places, but goes along with it since the last she saw the ghosts, they were all on the verge of disappearing. On the way, Dorothy tells them about the 7 places where the ghosts could be, starting from the last stall in the girls' bathroom and ending at the secret room where the cries of a teacher are heard. They all visit the places one by one but find no ghosts. The 4 kids find no one. Dorothy and Yayoi can see all the ghosts traveling towards someplace. On the way to the secret room, Dorothy tells Yayoi that she planted some fake symbols along with original symbols to have all the ghosts converge to a single place. The ghosts all converge to the secret room, the key to which is handed to Daisuke to open the door. It is only when he opens the door that Dorothy tells Yayoi that she purposefully sent the ghosts here to fuel their urge to kill, so they kill each other and the ones left alive do not disappear. Now, Yayoi knows the room is dangerous, but it is too late to stop Daisuke. The moment the door opens, everyone faints and enters the spirit world in which no one can get out of school. Yayoi sees the flashback of the teacher being bullied, harassed, and then accused of taking inappropriate pictures of a student by a class. This ruined his life, so he ended it in the same classroom, vowing to avenge these kids. Now, the spirit of this teacher is playing hide and seek with the students he just brought into the spirit world and killing whoever he catches. Dorothy wakes up after a while, ready to see if Yayoi survives and saves her friends from the place or not. The first person to be caught by the ghost is Daisuke, whose head is cut off. He wakes up in the real world crying and shaking while apologizing for something. Yayoi attacks the ghost outside the class she woke up in, but another spirit comes after her to attack her. The rep, on the other hand, is outside the building trying to escape the place but entering it again in a loop. She witnessed Daisuke being compromised and also sees Yayoi defeat the spirit, But it is only because every time she leaves the school, she enters the school into someone else's game of hide and seek. She tries to call Yayoi but realizes phones might not work here. But to her surprise, she receives a call back from Yayoi asking her to reach the 3rd floor stairs. As they go, Yayoi asks her if she has done anything bad in school, to which she says she only ditched a class once. By this time, she reaches the stairs and sees blood pooling down from them as she hears Yayoi's voice on the phone overlapping with another. It tells her she is lying, and the worst thing is to accuse an innocent teacher of harassing her. With that, the teacher's spirit appears right behind her. Yayoi timely saves the rep, and she tells Yayoi that she saw what happened to Daisuke once the candle was blown out. Yayoi figures that the candle being blown out means the game of hide and seek is over, and it was just a chance that the rep entered the game of other students. She figures that the way to win this game will save them, so they head towards the secret room to find a clue. On their way, they come across the spirit again and again, but Yayoi's protector spirit kills it again and again. When they finally reach the room, they see pictures of all the students in the mouths of dead crows. The rep picks up her picture and disappears, meaning she has won the game. Yayoi is also doing so, but the spirit appears again. She barely manages to come back to the real world and sees everyone unconscious except her and the rep. The two enter the room and find a weird, withered brain, so she asks the spirit in the doll to feast on it. The soul of the teacher appears from within the brain, but since he was innocent and was wronged, Yayoi lets him pass on peacefully without punishing him. She then sees her spirit transform and gain more power. Yayoi knows the spirit she named the soul in transition still hasn't gained all his powers and memories, and promises to let him have more battles as long as he protects them. After that, everyone wakes up and is taken to the hospital via the paramedics Dorothy called. The students who lost in the game feel traumatized by the crows and what they thought was a bad dream. To Yayoi's luck, the school is temporarily closed, which means she can visit Kyoto. Near the vending machine, Dorothy comes to Yayoi mentioning she got the school closed so she can go and see the specter of death in Kyoto as her allies are working on it. This gets Yayoi's interest, along with the fact that she can sense Dorothy has been replaced. Yayoi cuts to the chase and mentions knowing that. Yayoi pretends to also be a curse that replaced this body, and that she simply sensed since the old Dorothy used to look different. She succeeds a little in convincing the girl that she doesn't know much about the replacement and how the aura changes so that Dorothy can trust her and spill out some secrets about who she is working with. Yayoi feels sick of what she did to the professor's spirit, the students of the school, as well as the real Dorothy, because the real Dorothy is currently trapped in the doll this one carries. Yayoi pretends to be friends with her to get into the depths of all this chaos. Aiko comes to pick Yayoi but meets the rep first, who wants Aiko to thank Yayoi for helping her in that weird dream. The conversation also makes Aiko realize that the girl is just like her, someone who enjoys feeling fear. On the way back, Yayoi calls their sister Shami and updates her about the entire situation. She also tells her about leaving cameras around the house to see if anyone sneaks to get the talisman while she is away in Kyoto. Yayoi wants Shami to come up with a team of trusted spiritualists to defeat this brooding evil, and Shami seems to be readily on board with that. Keitarou texts Ai about her health only to receive a call from her right away. She cries about being scared and feeling guilty that everything happened because of her. Keitarou recalls how she calls herself a misfortune, but him being a nice friend is enough to calm the poor girl down. He cuts her off, telling her they are going to visit her as they want to see her smile again. This makes her feel overwhelmed with emotions, followed by a lightened feeling that people are caring about her. Keitarou goes into panic mode when he gets the update on what happened in Yayoi's school. But Yayoi is also focused on visiting Kyoto and defeating Ai's god, as she wants to know what his intentions are. She lays out a whole plan of how she is going to use her 5 massive graduates to create a pentagon around Kyoto City. The rest too, the courtesan and Castle H Ghost, will work on weakening Ai's god so that the rest can attack it later. Even though the lackeys at his disposal aren't as strong as the graduates, they need to strategically weaken Ai's god to defeat him. To not of the people in the city take the blow of the graduates, Yayoi has planned to use a reverse subordinate. Usually, subordinates take the damage inflicted upon the human, but this one will transfer the damage for the city to the god, weakening him further. However, they need to mark the same symbol on the god's flesh as on the subordinate. After deciding everything, Yayoi asks them to consider it thoroughly if they want to tag along or not, as this will put their lives in grave danger. At night, Aiko calls Yayoi to show her the slime idea, which impresses Yayoi that Aiko thought it properly. Aiko then shows her a lot of 3D printed copies of this model, but to accommodate water to have the subordinates heal quicker during the battle. This clearly shows Aiko's plans to accompany Yayoi. The same goes for Keitarou, who is scared to death about all this but is ready to prioritize his friends over his fear. Ai sleeps excited to meet her friends, but a beautiful dream of hers turns into a nightmare soon. She sees herself as a bride, but things get dark when she is switched to a hospital where her clothes are replaced by white sheets, and she sees her face being stolen and beheaded while she forgets the names of everyone she can call for help. Ai screams while feeling like she is being snatched of herself and sees her god tell her she's next before she wakes up crying. She rushes to see herself as normal in the mirror and breaks down in fear while calling the names of her 3 friends. The next day, Keitarou meets them with a bunch of lucky charms to support them and then proceeds to show them a graduate deployment kit he built to release and capture the graduates without the restriction of manual labor. The 3 then head to the graduate dorm to store the right arm of the talisman inside the well with a tracker on it while they take the left arm with them. The distinction is because Dorothy knows they have the left arm, but if they realize they have the other arm too and come for it, the tracker will help them know more about these body snatchers. Oswald is interested in getting the arm back while Nankobo, the old man, wants to know more about Yayoi and if she is speaking the truth. Dorothy appears there and shows interest in visiting the specter of death and how it is doing while Nankobo warns the 2 to not get involved with that god anyway. The trio finally starts their journey to Kyoto, but Keitarou is impressed when Yayoi says she would like to visit the place of the derailment where she can find proof about the specter that killed her parents after she has visited Ai and ensured her safety. Everyone prepares for their battles that are headed to their next stop, Kyoto. That concludes the anime recap. As always, if you enjoyed, let me know down below and I'm out.